Hello traders and investors, welcome back to the Trend Trader channel. So now we just past June. We know that some of us invest in ETFs, and this might be a good time to look at one of the ETFs that I like to follow. I have mentioned in previous videos that I use etfsa.co.za to follow the ETFs that are available in South Africa. This is a free website. You can find a lot of information with regards to ETFs, but also with regards to other products. So when you click on the ETF tab, you can see there are different ETF providers depending on which one you want. Then you can find information, the name of the ETF, the region it tracks, the class. If there is a specific index that ETF tracks, you can see that it is also there. The JSE ticker, total expense ratio, the fact sheet of that particular ETF, and the profile of that ETF is available on this website. For the purpose of this video, I want us to look at the Sygnia S&P500 ETF. So you have to scroll down all the way to Sygnia. You see there is that ETF. It's called the Sygnia Satrix S&P500. It's a foreign ETF that tracks equity. And then the index it is tracking is the S&P 500. You can see the JSE code and the total expense ratio. One thing that you should keep in mind, as much as we want to keep the cost down, the total expense ratio shouldn't be the only thing that we use to compare, because different managers will have different approaches, and there are a lot of other things to consider besides the total expense ratio. But yes, in an ideal scenario, it's better to get the best fund manager at the lowest price as possible. But remember, price is what you pay for, value is what you get. So now looking at this MDD, it was last updated in March 2023. Since we are past June 2023, I expect this MDD or fact sheet to be updated, but we're still gonna use it as it is. The only things that maybe are important here is actually the income distribution date. You can see it distribute biannually, December and June, meaning that in December Sygnia declares that distribution, but it's paid in January, or the declaration is in early January. Same in June, the declaration is early in July, and that distribution is paid in July. You can see here the payment was made on the 13th of July 2022, and in January it was made on the 17th of January 2023. So we can expect, if there is an income distribution that is declared, we can expect it to be paid in the middle of the following month. So in this case, for June, it's going to be July. So this is a nice thing that we see there, that the ETF does distributes biannually, and it is a high risk in terms of the risk profile. It's a high risk ETF. Remember, it's an equity ETF. Everything that is equity is considered from medium to high, and also the time period that is normally proposed, it's 5 years plus. So it's up to you how long you want to hold an investment. Again, it's an offshore ETF that tracks equity. As you can see there, it is 100% offshore. So there are a lot of things that we can see in this ETF, but one of the things that are important is how this ETF invests in terms of sector. We can see it has about 26% in IT, healthcare, financials, and then there's about 13% which includes other sectors. If you look at the holdings, remember this is an American ETF. You can see there are companies such as Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Alphabet, Tesla, Berkshire, and then there's Meta Platforms. We know that the companies that I've mentioned, like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, and Meta Platforms, they have performed very well since the beginning of 2023. ExxonMobil performed well in year 2022, but it's just 1.3%, so it's not much of a bigger deal. Berkshire Hathaway, it's another holding company that is diversified, so it could have performed otherwise, because it will have a combination of those companies that have performed well. But we saw that Warren Buffett or Berkshire Hathaway they were buying a lot of Occidental petroleum. We saw that OXY hasn't been performing well this year, so we don't know what is the plan by Warren Buffett and his team. So the reason why I like this ETF is because it does distribute, but this ETF can be compared to other foreign tracking ETFs such as the Satrix S&P500. You can see it also tracks the same sector. You can see also there's this OneVest S&P500. There is a Kosher. I think the Kosher is also called Kosher's S&P500. So there are other alternatives compared to the Sygnia S&P500, and also just keep in mind that Cautious does distribute the same way that Sygnia distribute, but Satrix and OneVest, they do not distribute. So if you want a total return, you can consider OneVest or Satrix, but if you want to also receive distribution, then you can consider Cautious or Sygnia S&P500. So I think the important things I've already covered here: the risk profile, the total expense ratio, the holdings. And then one thing that is worth noting, since the beginning of 2023, we can see that this ETF has grown by somewhere around, I think it was about 16% or so. So the starting day for trading in 2023 was the 4th or the 3rd of January. So you can look at the growth year to date. It is about 27%, so that is impressive. But remember, some of us are doing rent cost averaging, meaning that we invest maybe at least once per month or every week, depending on your frequency of investing. So if you started with a lump sum at the beginning of the year, you would be up by 27%. But if you have been making regular contributions, then your growth won't necessarily reflect this 27%. But that is just for year to date. And then if you look at it over a 1 year period, remember now we are in July. So we need to find the starting date for July, which was here on the 1st of July. The opening price on the 1st of July was around 62 rand 45 cent. So now when you look at that growth over 12 months, it is up by 35%, which is not a bad return, considering that you would have received a distribution in July and also received another distribution in January. Overall, the S&P 500 itself in the US, it is performing well, and that is one of the reasons why we like this ETF. So if you found value in this video, please make sure that you smash that like button. If you have any questions or comment, leave them in the comment section. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please consider subscribing. We will see you in the next video.